coming. So I have a presentation about our Bay Area Puma Project. But since we're kind of a small, intimate group, please feel free to just ask questions as we go. You don't have to wait till the end or anything. I think it's better to just kind of have a conversation about it.
Why'd you send them down to San Carlos the other day?
They were already here.
Oh, okay.
They were here first, actually.
No, this is a young one.
So, I'm with the organization Felidae Conservation Fund. Our goal broadly is to preserve top carnivores, especially wild cats, and that's because they have really important roles in the ecosystem. So being what we call like an apex predator, a top carnivore, that means that they are regulating all of the other animals that live underneath them and with them, including plants. So we're really interested in, by preserving this top carnivore, we're really trying to preserve the whole ecosystem. So we have projects down in Kenya, or up, I guess, over in Kenya. Cheetah's there, doing some snow leopard work in Mongolia, and some more cougar work in Argentina. Our biggest project is the Bay Area Puma Project, so that's what I'm going to talk to you about today, because it's relevant to where we are. As far as methods, we combined research, so we do a lot of wildlife camera work. So I brought one of these so that you can see it. We have about 100 of these throughout the San Francisco Bay Area, including about 20 in Crystal Springs and Rancho Corral de Tierra, just on the other side of the ridge, and then another 10 to 12 in Woodside as well. And then the other 70 are in the North Bay. But the way these work...
That's a count of big cats.
So we'll monitor all wildlife with these. So what we do is we mount them to trees on trails, and they're motion censored. So down here is a motion sensor. Something walks in front of it, it takes a picture. And then every 6 to 8 weeks, we'll come out and download all the pictures, take them back to the office, and we categorize everything so we can do analyses on where pumas are living, and what other types of animals they're sharing their space with, how many people are using the same space as them, and whether that's affecting how they're moving. So for example, we know cats will try to avoid people, so we see a lot more pictures of cats at night in places where people are also recreating and that sort of thing. But if you guys want to look at this, I'll just set it over here. We also use GPS collars, so that's what these are over here. So these are about 300 grams or so. They'll go around the puma's neck or whatever else. And then we get this really great data every 3 hours, so 8 times a day, we'll get a GPS fix and know exactly where pumas are, what kind of barriers they're coming up against, what corridors they're moving through, that sort of thing. And we do that for just a small handful of animals. The data is just so much more refined than what we can get with the camera work. And then the other really critical piece of our work is doing outreach and education. So coming and doing talks like this, going to festivals and that sort of thing, and tabling. And then we also have this really great K through 12 program called Cataware that we're really proud of. We go into classrooms, we teach them a little bit about ecological dynamics, and then on day 2, we'll actually take them out into the field. We'll teach them how to set up these wildlife cameras. We play hide and seek with these GPS collars, so we'll have kids hide with the collars, and then their friends have to go find them. So it's really fun. So I'm going to start with a video that comes from some of these cameras here. This is kind of our best of. Most of these are from San Mateo County and from Napa County. the Lily Estates, just this is my favorite video. So it's probably like a 5-month-old kitten or so. Still has spots. Bobcat mom and baby. Getting ready to jump.
More cat. Wow.
This is up in Napa, near Calistoga. The big bear. And we actually put protective boxes around our cameras because bears and people kind of mess with it. This is actually in the East Bay. This is a deer we hung up there to bait the animal, and this actually became one of the animals we put a collar on.
What's that he's going after?
A deer carcass, so deer rib cage.
Little bait, huh?
Gray fox. And this is actually in the watershed. So just over here in Crystal Springs.
Question,
Yeah.
What does fill-a-day mean?
Felidae is, oops, I don't know how, it won't let me
It's okay.
forward. So Felidae is the group, is the taxonomic group for wildcats. Kind of like Homo sapien, like we're in the great apes group, so this is the wildcat group.
There we go.
Okay, what is a puma? So this can be kind of confusing because pumas actually have the most names of any mammal in English. It has over 40 English names. So a puma is the exact same thing as a cougar, as a Florida panther, a catamount, a mountain lion. They're all the same thing. And the reason for this is they have a huge historic distribution. So all the way up from kind of southern Canada all the way down to the tip of South America. And a lot of these words come from Native American words that would have been used for the animals. So think like cougar and panther. Pumas are the largest small cat. So there is a difference between big cats, which are things like lions and snow leopards. They roar when they're making noise, versus small cats, which are pumas and cheetahs and bobcats and lynx and house cats. They all purr. So they have extra skin folds in their larynx, so they cannot actually roar, but they can purr. So these guys kind of make more screaming type noises and actually some chirping noises versus big cats, if that makes sense. Oops. So pumas are primarily solitary. So they have very strict home ranges. When you see multiple pumas together, it is most likely a mom and her cub. So cubs will actually stay with their moms for at least a year, sometimes 2 years, and actually during their drought we were seeing them stay almost up to 3 years with their mom. So, and moms have cubs every other year usually. So it can look like a family group if you have a really large cub that's a year or 2 years, and then she has her next cub with her. So it'll be maybe a group of 3 or more.
is it rare for them to have twins or
They will have usually between 1 and 4 kittens at a time. Around here, you usually see 1 to 2 at a time.
Why is that?
Why do they stay?
Why 1 to 2 here versus
I'm not sure.
not protein or anything?
It could be, we haven't quite studied that yet, what causes that variation in cub number, but throughout California, we really see these kind of smaller litters, and just down in like South America, sometimes we'll see up to 4. Usually, everywhere it's usually less than 4, but they have been known to have up to 4.
With the millennials, that's why they stay with their parents longer.
That's right, the housing is too expensive. So you wanna play this video? So this is actually in the watershed up here. And this is a mom with her cub, and you can see, well, it's a little bit blurry, but you can see there, he's a big cub. He's as big as she is. She's got a collar on, and that's her cub over there.
How do you capture them to get the collar on?
So,
Carefully, very carefully.
there's 2 different ways. You can use hounds. So hounds will tree the cat. So you can take hounds out into the field. They will scare a cat up into the tree. Then you pull your hounds back and you dart them from the tree. So you have like a dart gun, and as soon as they get hit, they come right down. And we're really careful about the sort of tree that they go up into, so it can't be over a ledge, they can't be too high, they can't have too many branches below it. So a lot of times we can get them up in a tree really fast, but then we have to pull the dogs back and let the cat come down and go into a different tree. So sometimes this will take a long time and can be kind of stressful. So we actually prefer to use cage traps. They're basically like really big feral cat traps. So the cat will actually, so before we put the cat trap out, we'll put up bait. So we'll find deer that have been hit by the side of the road or something, carve them up, put them out, and then put a wildlife camera on the bait. And then we'll come back, several times a day, check the camera to see if a puma has fed on it. So the way pumas feed is they typically will take down a deer, and then they'll cache it. So they'll bury it under some leaves, and then they'll come back to it night after night for upwards of 5 nights. So what we try to do is mimic that by putting out bait. If they come and they feed on it, that means they'll probably come back again the next night. So what we'll then do is take the bait down and put it inside of the cage trap, and hope that they'll come back the next night to come feed on this food. And then it's a spring-loaded door. The door actually has an alarm so that when it closes, it texts our phone. And usually we're somewhere between 15 to 20 minute hike away from the cage trap. So as soon as we get the text message, we'll go right in and assess the situation and go from there. Yeah.
So if you're 15 to 20 minutes away, are you out, in a camping environment waiting for
Usually.
this to happen?
Yeah.
Now, do you pick and choose a safe area because?
Exactly. So we'll pick someplace usually that's kind of out in the middle of nowhere, so that we don't have people, coming into contact with us, and pick someplace that's safe for the cat, someplace that has cell phone reception, so that we can get this text message. So we're really particular about where we'll put up a cage trap. So this is actually, so females and males, they differ in size. Somewhere between 70 to 145 pounds for females, and 80 to 200 pounds for males. Around here they tend to be on the smaller side, so we'll get females usually between 80 and 100 pounds, and males usually somewhere between 90 and 120 pounds. This is a video of a mating pair that we got actually just up here in Crystal Springs. I don't know if you want to play that.
Yeah.
Everybody over 18 there?
So nothing too explicit, just them snuggling. So this is the male and this is the female.
They're chatting.
Just cuddling and being romantic.
I've seen big cats and they're not too romantic.
So they'll actually stay together for 5 days. So, unlike lions and that sort of thing.
Do they hunt together? They're not here.
They won't hunt together, no.
I get out of
Yeah,
here.
I can't.
That collar may not cumbersome. Now try.
Yeah, it's a big collar.
So the collars look big. So these are actually quite a bit smaller than what we used to have to use. They're only about 300 grams, and you have to think about that from a puma, the way they stand. So like on a human, that would be like pretty heavy, but when you're on 4 legs, you have a little bit more stability. They seem to get around fine. I mean, we have moms that have kittens, so they seem to be doing all their normal functions, and these fall off after 1 year. So whereas in the past we would have a collar on for the life of the puma, these ones actually have breakages that are scheduled, so they will fall off after 1 year. So the same puma doesn't necessarily have a collar on for its whole life.
Is there GPS in there?
There's a GPS in there. So pumas usually about 6 to 13 years. Around here, the lifespan is a little bit shorter because we have so much traffic. So around 7 to 10 years. Pumas in the Bay Area are in decline. So this is actually a heat map showing where pumas are living. So each one of these black dots is where we have a camera right now. The most is actually right in this area. And then we have a little hot spot in Jenner, in Napa, this East Bay, and then in South Bay down here. So
Is that because the feet here, there's so many deer in this area, do you think?
I think that probably has something to do with it, and also because it's connected. So down, we have the Santa Cruz Mountains right here. So we have a lot of traffic for pumas coming down. So they have a lot more effective space versus in Marin, they're really stuck here because we have a lot of agriculture, and then we have 101 right here. So this is kind of an island population here. And then we have quite a bit in Napa, but really it's hard for them to move this way because of 101 and Santa Rosa in that area. And then the East Bay and South Bay are kind of also an island population. They can't really go down much farther than this area down here because of all the agriculture in Watsonville and Gilroy in that area.
What's their area of range? How far do they range?
How far do they range?
Yeah.
So that's a good, interesting question. So in places like Colorado, Utah, we see huge ranges for pumas, somewhere between 100 and 400 square miles.
Wow.
So obviously that is not possible here. We do
Right.
not have the space for that. Around here, they're usually somewhere between 20 and 50 square miles. They've been recorded as low as 10 square miles.
How do they get across the freeway? They don't run across, there must be some.
Oh, yeah, they do.
Are there some passageways?
Unfortunately, they do try to run across the freeway. We've lost 3 pumas on 280 this year alone.
Like deer, how else are we gonna get it?
I didn't know if there were any-
Stoplight?
Yeah, so they try.
Take the bus.
Yeah.
Take the bus. How do you think
Yeah.
the chicken gets from one side to the other?
This limited geographic range gives rise to issues of genetic diversity.
That is a very good point, and something that we want to study, and I'll talk a little bit more about.
Because if you don't have genetic diversity, they're gonna die.
Yep. And we're seeing some really weird mutations already.
What do you mean? Expand on that.
Do you want? I'll fast forward through my talk a little bit.
Let's go.
So I was going to talk to you a little bit about pumas in Marin and how they're in decline. So we have records of having at least 2 pumas. So these cameras are really great, but you can't distinguish pumas from photographs because they don't have any spots or stripes or anything. Except in Marin, we have a cat that only has one eye. And so we very cleverly named him One Eye. Although I've heard other people call him Winky or Blinky, which is pretty cute. So we had 3 photographs of an animal that we knew was not One Eye, because it had eye shine in this eye that One Eye is blind in. Plus One Eye has this really fat pooch belly, so he's really easy to distinguish. He's huge, he's a huge boy. But since November, we've only gotten pictures of One Eye. Here, this is a pretty good picture. So at night, you can see, we usually have this really bright eye shine. He's just doesn't have that in the one eye. And he has quite a large range, and probably zero competition, which is why he's kind of a chubby boy. So why are populations declining? And we think one of the biggest contributors is habitat fragmentation. And that's because pumas really like this, to have this large core habitat. So they eat things like deer, which are on the edge, so they have to have this really large range to be able to get to deer. What happens when you build a road or put up some other sort of infrastructure is you break that in half, and this becomes less suitable habitat. So even though there's more deer, they don't like to have that smushed range, so they end up either having to go back and forth between these, so that means they end up crossing this road or human habitation much more frequently.
So is that why we get a lot more reports than, say, 25 years ago around here?
Yeah, it's just we're encroaching into their space as opposed to them encroaching into our space. And so this is the genetic map that I was going to show you. So this is done by a colleague, Holly Ernest. She was at Davis at the time, now she's at University of Wyoming. She looked at like about 250 different mountain lion samples throughout California. And she grouped pumas by region and then looked at how much genetics were being passed from one region to another. So she has these arrows here. The fatter the arrow, the more movement. And you can see up in our Bay Area, we don't even get a whole line, we get a dotted line. Because there is so little movement of pumas, even just from North Bay to South Bay. It's just impossible to get from one side to the other because of urbanization.
People have the same problem.
I came all the way down from Marin today. And what happens is we get these really crazy mutations. So this is actually out in Utah. We don't have anything this bad yet. These are teeth growing out of this puma's head.
Growing out?
Yeah, and they've caught more than one puma like this. So we don't have any weird mutations. We're starting to get, you know how feral cats that are inbred will start to get tail kinks? So we're starting to see tail kinks here because of the lack of genetic diversity.
Now, where did you say this was, in Oregon?
This is in Utah.
In Utah?
Yeah, so we don't have anything this bad yet.
That's from inbreeding.
Yeah, it's from inbreeding.
And Utah doesn't have the problem we have here.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's, now when you capture the cats and put the collars on, why don't you chip them? Because I mean, they have new methods now of chipping where they actually, you can pick it up through either drones where you can fly over and get the...
So we're actually in conversation with NASA to develop this technology.
Right.
The problem is those chips need batteries. And so you can use those types of chips just to put out a signal, but the signal isn't strong enough to get up to a drone. You'd have to get a drone real close to the animal to be able to do that, and it freaks the animal out and it runs away and you can't do it.
You can't
So you need
drones in the thick brush.
right. So it has to be something that's up high that doesn't change their movement. So we're actually starting to talk to them about developing this sort of technology so that you can chip them and watch them as they go. They have really great thermal technology now, so we can actually identify specific sorts of animals based just on
I mean, even like the chip
profile.
can go where the cameras are, because it can trigger that. You know, I mean, where you don't have to have the drone, because I mean, you know, because I mean, we got a lot of our dogs chipped, you know, from Germany.
Yeah.
And you know, and it's like within 50 feet and stuff like that, 'cause I mean, your camera's picking that up, you know?
Yeah.
A motion sensor type of thing, where you don't, batteries aren't in the chips, but it just triggers, you know, when it
Yeah.
walks by.
So we're working to be able to use that sort of technology. I mean, we're a small conservation organization, so that sort of thing is really expensive.
Oh, yeah.
So, I only have a minute left, so I'm gonna just kind of speed through. So other reasons for population declines include depredation permits. So around here, it's not legal to hunt mountain lions, but if a mountain lion is suspected of having taken a pet or a hobby animal or that sort of thing, an owner can request for that puma to be killed. And CDFW has to grant that request.
Who does the killing?
Usually somebody with the California Department of Fish and Wildlife. Roadkill is a huge problem, so this is our area, so this is 280 here. I was telling you, we've already lost 3 animals right in this region this year alone. This is the last 10 years, the major hotspots. So you can see pretty much all along 280 and 101. About 60 pumas per year being hit by cars just in California. Public health, do you have any idea how many pumas have to be killed because they are presenting a public health crisis? So people are worried that they're going to attack a human. Any guesses on how many?
How do they make that decision?
So it just, if the public feels threatened enough, then they'll go out and kill this animal.
So they can't be relocated.
So pumas have really strong home ranges, so it's really hard to move them into a new range because that can cause conflict between pumas. So usually it's 0 or 1 for all of California that have to be killed for public health reasons. As many as 3. There's only been 18 puma attacks in California since 1890. The last attack was in, so there was actually an attack in a couple of years ago over here, so I need to update this. Only 6 human fatalities since 1890 in California. The last one, there were 2 in Contra Costa County in 1909. That puma had rabies, so it was not acting normally for a puma, so.
Only 6. That's an interesting.
Well, if you consider how many people die on the freeway in the Bay Area in a month.
A month, right, yeah.
The gal up near Sacramento who was jogging east of Sacramento, she's the last fatality, is that right? That would have been about 10 years ago.
So that, I don't know that that was verified as a mountain lion in the end. That one that was in Sacramento.
Yeah,
because Sacramento's, they don't have very many pumas there. They like the
I mean, it was
sand
way
cover.
up, it was up in the foothills.
Oh, was it in Humboldt? So there's one in Humboldt.
No, actually, well, we'll talk to you later about it, yeah.
Yeah.
It was, seems like Calaveras County or up in that area, gold rush countries.
Okay.
You know.
So I don't know if we have time still.
No, we don't.
No, okay. So I'm here, so if you want to ask me more questions, I only got through about half my slides, but this is better. So if you have questions, come talk to me, or I can give you my card and you can email me or whatever.
Thank you.
Okay.
Cool, thank you.